Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Cheers! Welcome to Brothers in Booze.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yep. And I'm having a super frog.
From Third Space.
Super fruited sour. I think I need my glasses for this one because y'all like to type in little areas here.
Yeah.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's super frog. With the two and a half, the raspberries of our original frog Weiss. It's fruit flavors, wham, bang, and kapow.
Wham, bang, and kapow. All of them. Woo!
It's big raspberry. It's all kinds of raspberry in your face. It's really, really nice. 8%.
Oh, baby. You are starting big, my man.
8.0 gallons per liter. Titrable acidity? What are you talking about there?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. That's a little bit out of my range of what that means, but all right.
They said tits.
Okay.
So, and on that note, Doug, we have National Bra Day. It's day to celebrate. Yay. All I got to say about this is I approve. That's it. What do you got, Doug?
I approve too, because I think that's, I know some women wear them for actual support because they have big boobs and it hurts their back. But I think if you not want to wear them, fuck it. Why do you have to?
I approve. That's all I got.
Yeah. Agreed.
I can't relate otherwise.
Yeah, no. My moobs don't require anything to hold them up, thankfully. But yeah,
correct. So what do you approve of over there?
Well, so I was at a bottle share and somebody had one of these, and I was able to snag one. This is an Oktoberfest from Thin Man, so it's a Märzen lager. So Thin Man is a upstate New York brewery. Daniel has commented he knows where that is. I believe it's in Buffalo. That's where it is. Yeah. So first Oktoberfest for me on the show. Obviously, we haven't been here for a few weeks, but yeah, I'm gonna put it in my fancy Pilsner Urquell glass, but just because I haven't used it in a while, and I love this glass, and it's heavy as shit because I feel like I could clock somebody with it. Not that I would do that unless it's Ted Cruz, but
Ted Cruz.
Yeah. So. As you can see, my aggressive pour as usual. Just got that perfect Märzen, like that scent, that real, October-y scent to it. So, man, that is a really good Märzen. Like they just hit all the notes. It's like just a really solid. Märzen's not a fancy beer. It's just what it is, and you just got to hit the right notes, and they definitely did that with this. So, cheers, folks. Welcome back to our show.
Excellent. A couple bookkeeping notes here real quick. Next week's Badger Beer Hour. This is the hour where I and my friends bring you the Badger news. We will be here on Thursday this week, not Wednesday. Special note for those who watch the stream and watch that one. 8 Central. This Thursday, not Wednesday, Thursday, not Wednesday, Thursday. All right. We'll go back to Wednesday the following month, but we have some scheduling conflicts that we're working through. So we'll see you on Thursday, y'all. Excellent.
And just a note for folks who aren't from Wisconsin, it's definitely worth the watch. I watch it. You learn stuff because they talk to brewers. Chris Drosner is one of your guys in that show, and that guy knows more about beer than I've probably forgotten more than I know about beer. So yeah, it's definitely.
Don't tell him that he might get a big head.
Yeah, that's fair point. So yeah.
No, but you're right though. You're right. I mean, that's why I sought him out as a partner and all that, and he's just great. So That's great. That'll be next Thursday. And then next Friday, y'all, we have the return of Whitney and Lauren. And we're going to be talking everything horror, underappreciated horror movies. What is the meaning of horror? What does it define to you? We'll be talking all that next week. Should be a grand old time. Whitney loves to come and talk to us for hours about, and we'll get her take on the strike and that being over and all the things that are going on. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and she's the part of it. There's a strike that is still going on that she's still part of. So yeah, we'll get to her thoughts and all that. So
that's such a dope picture of both of them. I love it.
Yep, and a very apropos for Lauren because that's just like that's her personality, you know.
I already know. Look at that.
Yeah.
And then the week after, we have Ariana Bradford. So we got some things coming. Doug is in the process of rescheduling our hockey referee, and we need to get to the bottom of all that craziness that's still going on with the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift. And I mean,
I know, and
it's
we'll get them, and it'll be. Who knows? Taylor Swift might have broken up with Travis Kelce by that point, and she'll have put out a song about him. So we'll see what's happening with that.
A song? It'll be a whole damn album at this point. It's gonna be epic, right? Yeah, Whitney's back, and it's gonna be fun. Absolutely. So yeah. So then another note is that Doug and I we will not be talking about the Middle East here. If anything, I need a break from it. And we want to be a break from that. If that's y'all. Doug and I want peace, and that's kind of that's all we really want to say about it. And that's it, really. Peace to the world, and we just hope everything works out ASAP. But that's all we're going to address, unless Doug has more than what I'm about to say.
No, just the only thing I would say is I don't think we have enough knowledge either of us to really speak on that, other than to just wish for peace.
Yeah, and I'm not a foreign policy expert, and I'm not going to try to be. And I haven't said anything on the social media about it because my opinion does not mean shit. But where my opinion does mean shit, Doug, is right here. Dateline, St. Louis, Missouri.
Not Florida for a change.
With her husband clinging to the hood of her car, a Missouri woman drove more than 7 miles through a construction zone across an interstate before pulling over while being chased by police, according to court record. Stephanie Boyd and her 31-year-old spouse got into a verbal argument that turned physical inside their St. Louis residence. Boyd then got on the couple's car to leave while the victim was on the hood of the vehicle, Doug. However, Boyd left the residence with the victim still on the hood of the vehicle. Traveling recklessly at different speeds, Boyd made her way to Interstate 70, where she sped for 4.6 miles before exiting near St. Louis Lambert International Airport. Boyd then continued to drive on the local roadways. At one point, the police officer gave chase after Boyd drove past her with the spouse on the car. While pursuing the squad cars, lights were flashing, and Boyd drove an additional half a mile before pulling over. The judges set the bond at $100,000 cash for Boyd, who was deemed a danger to the crime victim and community and other people. So, do you have any comments on that?
What do I comment? Like, it is amazing to me just the way people react to stuff sometimes. Just how far just stuff goes. Like, you think people you always run into this people have the capacity to do great things, and they also have the capacity to do horrible things, and they have definitely the capacity to be the dumbest shit possible, and that puts that in that, like, did she think she was going to get away? Like I'm just kind of floored by that.
I don't know what to tell you, but that we've been waiting 2 weeks to tell you all that. not really, but yes, Doug. We've all been in heated conversations, especially with our significant other. But like, I've learned, Doug, if they're gonna leave, just let them leave, bruh. Like, I'm not blaming the victim. I'm not. But like at the same time, there's no reason for you to jump in the car and stay there for
No.
5.7 miles or whatever the hell it was. I mean, I know at some point you can't get off, so I got it.
Was it like an action movie sequence where the people like Tom Cruise is hanging on the hood of a car and they're driving her? Oh my God! How is that not a Florida story or a Texas story? Like that feels like that should be Missouri. Yeah, that's fair.
You know me. I think they're all the same at some point. So
yeah,
like, all the red states are just. I mean, and then the red parts of the blue states are wackadoodle. I don't know. I don't know what y'all doing, but yeah, get off the car. So yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's the whole like you have to have good to have evil, like that sort of maybe mindset. Like I don't know, maybe it's something in that, like equilibrium within nature somehow. Whatever.
Right. And there's always things that we can. I'm telling you, I bet you we all have things that we can look back and be like, all right, that was really, really, really dumb. That was like extremely dumb. Now, maybe not that dumb, Doug, but we've all done some things where we look back and we're just like, I don't know where you were, who you are. You look in the mirror and you're just like, what was that? So that's why we bring you What the Fuck News, because we're just trying to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Because that was definitely a what the fuck moment. So
right. And another what the fuck moment, real quick before we get to our guests. Our fantastic guest is going to be electric, I'm pretty sure, and I got so many questions. It's going to be great. But real quick though, so part of the reason why we missed y'all last 2 weeks is because my house has been going through a bunch of sicknesses. One of them is I caught the COVID at Home Dad Con. Yes. So, but the thing was, I was asymptomatic. I didn't show any symptoms at all. In fact, once I got my positive test, Doug, I started to feel better. How does that happen? Well, long story shorter, there's something going around that's not COVID or that's not testing for COVID. I kind of had that before we went to Milwaukee. Get back home, and I started hearing people say that they were testing positive from Home.com. I didn't go to Home.com itself. I just went to the beer share. Long story shorter, once I got back home, I tested positive for COVID. So I had to go into isolation immediately. But during isolation, I didn't feel anything, Doug. I didn't feel nothing. And I was testing positive. So my really quick anecdote here, so we can get to our guests, is that I understand why there was so much craziness around COVID. And I understand why the doubters and the anti-vax people and the anti-COVID people had an in on being able to say this, because if you're asymptomatic but yet you're positive, this is a really kind of a mind fuck situation. It may have almost been better if I was sick and had it, if that even makes sense, because I'm sitting in my room and I can't go out and I can't engage with my family, but yet I don't feel anything. So it was just really weird. And I'm not giving them any outs or any excuses for their behaviors and the way they acted. But like it was like a week later and I was still testing positive. And I go to the website and the website's like, well, if you're still testing positive, you can get back into everything. You just got to wear a mask and everything cool. I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. What? Go to the CDC website. It's there. Go to the Wisconsin Health Bureau thing. It's there. You're just like, wow, this is a real mindfuck. And I understand why people who wanted to doubt were given evidence for that doubt, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Just real quick on that is that was the case for a lot of people. It was not the case for other people. And I think the point of being masked and doing all that was to protect others for that. That's I think was the whole point. And that's why you isolated. That's why you isolated. But my COVID experience, I was sick. So like I had COVID once and I was sick. So I didn't have the asymptomatic. I had
But
the
it's just really weird, right? It's a really weird thing to say, hey, you're still testing positive, but you can get back out there and go back to work and all that.
Yeah, I think there's also a period of time where it's able to be communicated. And then once you get to a certain point and then it's not communicable. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
I'm not an epidemiologist. I just know that it's weird when you're in that and you're, you know what I mean? It's you and you're going through that experience. It's weird. And like, I didn't have a job, so I understand people have to return to their jobs and all that. I mean, I do have a job, you know, I'm an at-home dad and I, you know, homeschool and all that. But like, you know, even me going back to doing that with a mask on, I was just worried about, you know, it, you know, being contagious and all that. So like, even the nurse lady of the house was like, look, Saturday is your day. Saturday is when you come out. Don't be goofy. And I'm like, well, I want to wait until I'm not positive to come back out. And she's like, well, I don't know if that's even possible or what, you know, whatever. Like, not that I know. She's like, look, Saturday's it. Do it. That's it. So I just listened to her. I did finally. But there was a little bit of a mind fuck there where it's like, damn, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go back and like, you know, infect anybody or like, you know, move this around. And I'm fine in my room. I wasn't at that point. At that point, I was like, y'all need to get me the fuck out of here. but like it was cool. So I just wanted that note. I just wanted to talk about that real quick because it's just important for people to hear people's different experiences about this, and it's still going around, y'all. So be careful. You know, mask up if you feel you should. I ain't telling anybody what to do. All I know is that it's still out there, y'all. Luckily, I was asymptomatic. Luckily, I didn't. None of my family caught it either or tested, but my family has been going through a sickness. So that's why last Friday I didn't make it, even though I was asymptomatic, because, you know, it was so much going on. So y'all be careful out there. Stay safe. It's a crazy world. So what's not crazy, Doug, is the subject of our stream this evening. So I will let you take over, and I see our guest is ready and roaring to go. So I will shut my mouth and you can.
Yeah. So our guest tonight is Faye Johnstone, who wasn't on my radar until a lot of people learned of who she was Hershey Canada.
Not about her, but
no, but Hershey Canada did a series of bars called Hershey, her dash SHE. I'm not sure if it was for International Women's Month. Faye's shaking her head, yes. And she was one of the people, and Faye is trans, which caused an uproar of people to just lose their shit for no reason, and even caused like some boycotts of Hershey in the United States, which was just perfect for chef's kiss for America. That's just kind of the dumb stuff we do. But you know, she's also like the founder and director of Wisdom2Action, and was the Grand Marshal for the Ottawa Pride Parade this year, which is why she had to reschedule before. Like, that's badass, right? So,
hello.
Yeah. So,
hello.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get her on there so we could talk to her. So,
Doug, you have that option. I'm working on something, so do that.
You got it.
Little stage direction.
Welcome, Faye.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Great.
Excellent.
Our first question is, what are you drinking? What's in your glass?
So I am a cheap wine kind of gal, I will admit. So I buy, and I don't know if y'all have it in America, but we have like Jackson Triggs. I
think we do.
It's like a white wine. You can buy it by the 4-liter box, and I think that's just nice and handy.
Sure.
And I don't drive, so
you have the box near? Can we see it? Can we see the box?
I can show you the wine glass.
Oh, that works. That works.
All right, it's a nice little silver goblet, but I can't break it.
Yeah, but after many glasses of wine, you can't break it. That's a good thing to go with.
My guests can't break them now, and that's perfect.
Fair.
It's even better, right. Especially when you're out in the patio, or I don't know if you have a patio or outdoors, or you're walking around for sure.
And I'm like, I'm a smoker. My friends come out with me for a smoke, and then somebody breaks a wine glass on my front step, and I'm like, no, we're not here for this today. So goblets make everything more durable, and they're all the same, so it still has a nice aesthetic. It works out.
Well, my question would be: is if they're all the same, do you get your goblets confused? after?
No, it's the perks of being the one who has the lipstick and who leaves a little mark on all of them. So I always know which one is mine, and also my spouse in particular knows if I stole a sip of theirs.
Okay.
See, Doug, we don't wear lipstick, so and
it helps out though, because if you don't know, if you're at like a social event and you can't remember which glass is yours, I have a great cue, and y'all wouldn't know.
That's fair point. But like, I'd be like, well, I'm not drinking any of that. I'm going to get a new cup.
Yeah.
Right. So, Doug, first question, right? Or you got it? You got it. Right?
Sure. So, why don't we start with the biggest reason that you came onto my radar? Talk to us a bit about the Hershey campaign, how that came to be, first of all, because that's great. And my second question is going to be, there's the Hershey bar, is obviously you got a huge backlash from it. How did you deal with that? Because dealing with that on a grand scale of stuff, most of us will never know. So, floor's yours.
Absolutely. So I heard from Hershey's in December of 2022. And I actually first thought it was like a spam email. Like I opened up my inbox and there was a we would like to engage you in this thing. And my immediate thought was like, you probably want money from me or there's something going on here. And then I like opened Google and like searched up the email address and like all of those things. And it turned out to be like the creative agency working with Hershey's to pull the campaign together. I have no clue how I got on their radar. I do like queer and trans advocacy stuff, and like I do like writing in mainstream media, and like a lot of like responding when something homophobic and transphobic happens in Canada is my like little unpleasant niche. So I imagine there's like I came onto their radar through that. And then it was a trip to Toronto to do a like filming for an ad for the ads, and then working with an artist to design the chocolate bars, and then the campaign launched. And this is when like things got particularly messy. So it was March 1st. I was in Whitehorse, in the Yukon, which is like I'm in Ottawa, so like more north than we are north.
You're in the woods.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal community. Like I love Whitehorse, but I was disconnected from my world when all of this shit hit the fan. And indeed, like tsunami of hate, ickiness, badness from like Tucker Carlson, Fox News Syndicate, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, all of those horrible, horrible humans who don't like trans people. And I'm like hanging out in Whitehorse, like trying to do some work around like addressing violence in the community. And there's just like this tsunami coming my way. But the thing that got me through it was the my partner, my wonderful pets, and also I think a lot of folks, like organizations across Canada, like released statements and spoke out in support following what happened. And there's a whole convo about rising hate in the world right now, but it helped folks realize, I think in my country, that there is like a shit show coming and we got to wake up to it.
Yeah, I think the shit show's here already for America, but go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
What I find interesting, and you kind of answered the question I was going to get to, but I find it interesting that for a big corporation from America reached out to someone in Canada as opposed to reaching out to someone in America. So I thought that's for whatever reason that's fascinating. Shout out to Hershey though for that. Hershey is a business that Doug and I know pretty well, given that is pretty much our stomping ground for when we were youth. We are both born and mostly raised in Eastern Pennsylvania. Hershey's right there. I went to the Hershey Bears. We all went to Hershey Park. So we have it's a nostalgia thing for me. Neither Doug or I live anywhere near Hershey. Doug lives close. Doug's close-ish, but I'm out in the Midwest, so I'm not near Hershey. But shout out to them though for being unafraid and unabashed about it. And it seems like once that hit, it didn't seem like they flinched. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like the thing with Hershey's is there's like Hershey's corporate, like big picture Hershey's, and that's like based in US but like works across the world. And then for International Women's Day, every single like different national Hershey's, like Hershey's Canada, do their own like campaign. And so like it was like the funniest thing about all of this, in a way, is that like my inclusion in this campaign spawned a predominantly American backlash against Hershey's, in a context where you couldn't buy the damn chocolate bar in America. It was not distributed anywhere in your country. And yet this whole shit show goes down. And I'm just like, what? This is like, come on.
We are as a country are very good at outrage that doesn't matter.
Like you can't get it there. Like you just can't. Like it was like, what's going on here?
That says everything you need to know about us in this area for sure. It really does. It's sad, and you at least know two fellas here that we don't fuck with that at all, not even remotely.
I got good cousins in America, so I know like there are good humans hanging out.
There are some of us down here, but yeah, sometimes sometimes the minority is just a loud, obnoxious minority here in America. And it doesn't, that's not the word I want to. It spans all kinds of different. It even goes down to like sports ball teams and all that. We have people who like think it's fine to start fights and like maim people at sports ball games. Like it's just insane. And I know you might have that either, but we have it here like on a grand scale. We're just idiotic on so many different things. But I'm gonna keep that aside and get back to I think there was a question, or I did ask a question, but I was just fascinated by the whole American company reaching out to a Canadian person to do this, and I love that. But I think now that you mentioned it, the fact that the bar was really all Canadian, right? It was primarily Canadian. So then it was really directed to y'all, as much, and it really wasn't directed to us at all because we didn't have it. So that's a different angle. So Faye, can we back up a little bit? So how did you get into the space? Obviously because of who you are, but like what drove you to activism, and what drives you? What is your motivation? Because it's so like sometimes I'm getting up there in age, and I think I'm past maybe my activist things, but sometimes I feel like, wow, like these activist folks they're really strong, and we see a strong public face, but it has to be hard on you when it's just relentless attacks, especially from people who have mobs. Literally, those people that you mentioned, they have mobs. People who just follow them blindly, endlessly, mimic everything they say, and then just go online and say heinous things because nobody can check them there. So, how did you get in this space, and how do you keep motivated?
I love it. So maybe to tell a bit of a story that gets to that question.
Please.
So like I am a military brat. Like both my parents are ex-military, my mom and my dad. And so we moved around Canada a lot, and military culture, small town culture is often very conservative, and there's a lot of ideals and values, especially on base. And I was like a hockey jock. I played recreational hockey for like 12 years. Still miss that. I still have the thighs that I built while playing that darn sport, and it was a good time. But like that was a lot of my context. And I was both like the shy little kid, but also the one who like tried to blend in all kinds of wonderful, messy, unhealthy ways. And then I came out as gay initially, and that was after I moved to Ottawa, so it's like to the big city, and had grown up in this space a little bit. And the world was messy about it. My family was great, but coming out as a queer human in this world is not always a good time. And then I came out as trans a few years later, and it was like, oh Lord Jesus, now people are messy, horrible, and the world is scary. I remember like shaking the first time I walked out of my apartment, like looking anything near feminine. And I remember just thinking, like, I am a white lady from a middle-class military family. I have like heaps of privilege because of that. And then to see the way that we are willing to mistreat or cast aside and malign folks simply because of who they are. And that was like a whiplash for me. And I've been angry ever since. And I've been loving the idea of a world that's like less shitty than this one. And I love the like possibilities that like queer and trans communities and the like more just equitable world can give for all of us. And that's the shit that keeps me going. And knowing that like the little baby gays deserve that better world for themselves also is what keeps me going.
Hey, that's the thing. That's the thing. I have kids who are queer, and let me tell you, they're called baby gays, and for a reason, because they're young. That's all.
Yeah, it's like
so
everything with kids. Like, so the shitty thing is like, you know, every kid deserves to be able to grow up and like be themselves and figure themselves out and like make mistakes, be healthy, be unhealthy, be messy, be everything that like teen and adolescence and youthhood is. But like these kids don't like, they shouldn't have to deal with the kinds of things that they're dealing with at the point where they're dealing with them. Let them live their best lives without all the messy and show them that they can have a good time. Like they can love this world. Yeah.
Yeah, and exist in it too. You know, that's the thing. Just to be, listen, as this like hetero cis people, we just exist. We don't have to prove ourselves or try to justify who we are, and that's just how it should be across the board for everybody. Just be you. If you're not a shitty person, then great. It's pretty easy.
Right. Yeah. And real quick, Doug, us being us here, I opened this mega Nipah from
Venture.
Your Favorite Venture, because I was there a couple weeks catching COVID, and I at least caught some Venture, so it's all good. It's all good. It's a good juicy IPA or a New England IPA, so it's great. It's typical Venture. Everything out of there is top notch.
Yeah,
and the coffee too, y'all. Bang.
Yeah.
What's up, Doug?
That is before we go, Faye, that is a place that's near Greg, somewhat near Greg, that is a coffee place in the morning and a brewery after that. And like, talk about just they started in the COVID time, right? That's when they actually, I think they started. Did they start before that? Because I mean, they were little when that happened. So they managed to survive. And I'm glad because their beer is phenomenal.
4th anniversary.
Yeah, so that's about the time. It doesn't seem like 4 years, but
anyway, go on.
Yeah. So mine is something. First of all, I got this partially because of you, because it's a space themed.
Me or her?
Yeah, you, Craig, because it's space themed, and the name is ice cream sandwiches in space. Then when I saw the ingredients, I realized I got this for me. Because Faye, I am a person that if you throw the weirdest shit in a beer, I'm gonna try it because I just want to see how the hell you make it work. So this one, for instance, is a milkshake style double IPA with freeze dried ice cream, cacao nibs, vanilla, strawberry, and lactose. It's like, hey, what do we have? Let's all throw it in a beer. Let's see if it works. So. Yeah, so it is 9.1.
So, Doug, do you have a question for Faye? Can I go?
Go ahead, because I'm pouring this and trying not to spill it. So go ahead.
And then after Faye's response, you can give us your tasting notes. Is that cool?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, Faye, so the landscape of you hinted at this before, and I kind of want you to expand on it. Obviously after the backlash of the Hershey thing here, and let's put that up again because I just love this picture. I love the joy that you're showing there. To me, that shows like it almost shows, and I just met you tonight, so everybody knows. But that picture shows the joy. It also shows, I think, a little bit of exhaling. Like we have one of our favorite or one of our good movies down here was Waiting to Exhale. It was back a while. You might even remember that. I think Whitney Houston was in it, and Angela Bassett, and all these other fabulous ladies. Anyway, I feel like an exhaling here is when I first saw it, like, yeah, this is cool. And I'm just like, wow, it's nice to be recognized in a sea of negativity. That's what I get out of this. But with that being said, how do you see, because you got backlash, and it sounds like mainly from America, and that's because it's an American company. I would assume that that's the connection that was being made there. So is the landscape in Canada different as far as what trans people go through than America? Do you feel it's harsher down here or harsher up there, or are y'all still learning? I mean, first of all, we're all still learning. Doug and I are still learning. And having folks like you on, and Nick North and Jessica Jones and
previous trans guests. So yes.
We've learned the Jessica Jones interview. Y'all need to go back and see that. I asked some really, really dumb questions during that, and I actually feel really, really bad about that. And Jessica, I even went to her brewery and told her that, and she's like, "Dude, chill, settle. It was cool. You're cool, and I know you're cool because you come from a good place."
It's like I'm
like,
be
it's so.
You look back like a few years, and everyone's always messy, no matter who you're quoting. And like most of us, the vibes do also matter more than the lingo and language of the day.
I love that. Okay, cool. So my long-winded ass question is basically, do you feel that there's any what's the climate in Canada as far as this goes? Doug and I could talk about the climate down here, and it ain't so great. So how do you feel? Where do you feel that the two countries are?
So this is this is funny because I'm used to using y'all as an example of the thing that Canada could get to, where if we don't deal with this shit in a good way, that's the next step. And so when I describe America in Canada, I describe a country where 8 in 10 LGBTQ Americans are afraid for their safety. I describe a country where you have hundreds of anti-trans, anti-gay, anti-queer, anti-woman, anti-everybody and everything bills, but specifically ones that are targeted at trans people as a fixation of the moment. To a huge degree, you have neo-Nazis sending bomb threats to hospitals that provide care to trans kids. You have trans people being targeted. Y'all are so I use y'all as the thing that the boogeyman, and I actually think that's not fully wrong, but at the same time, the thing that Canada does is we pretend that we're oh so very different. Canada has this narrative, the concept of multiculturalism, the concept of equity and human rights. These are things that Canada imagines as a nation, as deep values within ourselves. And that is a really compelling narrative. But it also can make it and it's given us a lot. We are one of the safest countries for queer and trans people. We are doing some great stuff. We have a nightmare of a history because of colonization and genocide of indigenous people, and a whole lot of other we have white supremacy, we have colonialism, we have all of the things, but we also have this idea of multiculturalism that is a really compelling narrative. The problem with that is that it's both a buffer, but it can also make it harder for us to realize when shit's getting worse. And it allows us to sweep under the rug in a very Canadian, we're polite kind of way, both ongoing and systemic inequities, plus contemporary rises in anti, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, anti hate and populism and fascism and culture war. And so Canada is not where America is. And not where America is on queer and trans issues specifically either, but we're seeing those seeds being planted, and we're seeing governments starting to roll back rights and protections for trans kids in 2 of our provinces, and we're starting to see the guy who's gunning to be the prime minister and topple our current liberal government, Pierre Poilievre, is also weighing in using anti-trans and anti-gay dog whistles to describe contemporary debate around trans kids' inclusion and safety at school. So it's a lot of we're doing better than y'all, but we follow you historically just 5 years after. So the like trends in America impact us here. And we're naive to the amount of hate that is already hanging out in this country too.
Yeah, I was just going to remark and ask if it's like the American influence of all the right wing rise here. And let's be clear, the right wing, the loud voices aren't the majority of the people who are conservative. It is not. But those people are really fucking loud, and they don't have any policies that people like. So the only thing they have is grievance politics, and all they have is to make some sort of boogeyman to make old boomers afraid. And they're very good at it. They're very good at making people afraid. So that's why I was just, it feels like from an American perspective that some of that is bleeding up north. And is that how you see it?
So I think like there's a delicate like dance here, I think, because on like one side, we don't want to minimize the degree of like the undertones of a nation founded through colonialism, or like the legacies of like racism, white supremacy. Like we don't want to imagine like Canada as like utopic, and this is just like America messing with us. We're also the country that birthed Jordan Peterson. And I think that's really important to name. We also birthed one of the like leaders of the Proud Boys, and I think Soldiers of Odin also maybe. And we birthed one of the most vocal like trans exclusionary radical feminist, i.e. like transphobe people, Megan Murphy, in the world, and many others. Like one of the most like anti-trans academics out there, like comes from Toronto. And so like there is this need, like there is indeed like there's homegrown hate in Canada. There has been for a long time. It is like connected to power and privilege. But then also, yes, goddamn, there is influence from America. A lot of Canadians are watching or were watching Tucker Carlson and are still watching Fox News. And seeing influencers, and hate sees no boundaries and borders. And so it is being influenced, but it's not just being influenced by.
Fair point. So before I go to my next question, tasting notes, because this is a fascinating beer. I don't know how to explain it. I'm going to be upfront. This thing is, because of all that's going on in it, I mean, it's a milkshake style IPA. So it's got the lactose to make it feel like a milkshake. Although you can see by the color, see how thick that is. That's kind of what you're going for if you're doing a milkshake IPA. I taste nothing of the freeze-dried ice cream because I'm not exactly sure what that flavor is, other than it's sweet. Cacao nibs a little bit, vanilla and strawberry very much. So it's like a fruity milkshake IPA. Not terrible, not bad. Greg, you would hate it. Like I'm not sure. You would probably be like, that is too much going on. And it is. But it's one of those things like, hey, somebody made something really weird. I tried it, and one can is plenty. I probably wouldn't buy this again, but it was definitely interesting. So, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. So I did have a question, and it just slipped my mind because I was trying to do tasting notes. So, Greg, do you have something while I'm trying to figure out what my brain was trying to process?
Yeah, absolutely. I could talk to Faye for hours because it's just fascinating to me as a cis male. So Faye, I want to give you the opportunity to talk to people and to explain why trans care for children or for people under the age of 18, why it's important to them, because there is this big chasm, I think, of people who I really believe that there's people who want to understand but who can't because of their, because they're cis hetero.
Because of noise.
Well, that, and it's not the same, and I'm not saying it's the same, but it's the same. It feels like sometimes it's the same as being a black person and being a white person. Like, white people don't understand that they really, really can't put themselves in our place, even if you paint your skin brown. It's still not going to work, okay? And you're not going to understand it. And I think that understanding is what I think it's missing in a lot of people. Like, listen, some people are hating and they're just going to hate, and that's just who they are. But there are some people who are like, I just don't understand it. So I need someone to tell me. So I want to give you the stage to talk about why that's important and why we're not doing it to 3-year-olds. Like, excuse my language, the fucking Speaker of the Wisconsin House said yesterday, Doug, on the floor of my fucking government's fucking I just can't. I just can't. So Faye, please shut me up and bring some not only intelligent conversation to this, bring some great notes, or bring what you have to say. And it's going to be greater than Robin Voss will ever be because he's a piece of shit. That was my commentary, not anybody else's. Faye.
Oh, I love it. So I think I want us to take a step back, because one of the things that the bigots, the far right does is they take a lot of different fears and anxieties we have around trans people, and they shove them together into a bludgeon against us. And so I want to think about the difference between social transition and medical transition. So if you are a trans kid across any age, social transition is often something you do when you come out. What that means is that you might get a haircut, you might change the gendered-ishness of the clothes that you wear, you might change your name and your pronouns, right? That is social transition. Mm-hmm. And medical transition is the hormones and the surgery stuff. Now, baseline, many trans people come out and social transition is the primary thing that they do. Many folks will then explore other forms of transition. And if you are a teen or a young person, what that looks like is just like if you are a kid who's having anxiety or who's having a negative experience in relation to their health. And so for some young trans people, they experience a visceral gender dysphoria. That is a discomfort in their body. That is either a way about how other people are perceiving you, may also be your own relationship to your body, a whole lot of other things. And if you have that, you may be wanting to explore gender affirming healthcare options. And if you're under the age of 12, that is literally just you chat with a counselor and you have some conversations just to make sure that you're doing okay. For some kids, that means you get access to puberty blockers, which can delay the onset of puberty. And then once you reach a certain age, you might go on hormones if you are a trans kid. And in your conversations with your healthcare provider, your physician, your doctor, you make the decision or you recognize that you need access to this particular medical intervention. And so I feel like I'm rambling, but the baseline things here that we need to understand that the world forgets is that healthcare providers are trained experts to help all of us address our healthcare related needs. And if you are a trans person going in and you have chronic gender dysphoria, you experience significant distress every day because of the dissonance between your gender and your physical body. That can be a critical health issue. That can, you need access to these interventions. But the baseline is we're not doing many significant interventions. We're not we're talking about hormones for kids who doctors believe that they are in need of those interventions. Who yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm going in 100 directions, so I'm going to pause. Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about something real quick, and maybe you can piggyback onto this, Faye. So you talk about things like gender affirming care. So one of my kids is trans. They had gender affirming care before they were 18. It was just something to help that. See, the thing is, the part of this with gender affirming care, it's also mental health, not just physical health. There's a lot. If you have gender dysphoria, if you're just depressed because you're not living your life as you believe you should live, like there's a lot of pieces of this. And what you hear, this gender affirming care, and the wingnuts over in the right that they're really far out there will say stuff like, well, that's bad. But what they fail to realize is like, you're taking Viagra, that's gender affirming care. If you're getting Rogaine or whatever to do something to fill your hair in, that's gender affirming care. Like, gender affirming care is not just things like what they're making it sound like. We're going into these, a kid says, oh, I think I'm a different gender, and that they're doing surgery immediately, and that doesn't happen.
And this is the stuff that they lie to us about. Like, they blend these different, like, they blend these different issues. So one, they imagine that we're trying to convert kids to be trans. Trans kids get bullied in every single darn school and classroom across this freaking continent, and it's not popular, trendy, or supported to be trans. And then they imagine that we are pushing people down this pipeline. And I'm sitting here saying, like, many trans kids do not access any kind of medical intervention. Everyone is doing it in situations where they're having conversations with experts, with physicians, doctors, nurses, social workers, and they wait years on wait lists to get access to that care. And much of the time, we are seeing people accessing those interventions later on in their life because of those delays. And it is only, or generally in circumstances where gender dysphoria is so severe, or where there is such a need for, that we see any kind of surgical intervention on anybody under the age of 18. And that is only undertaken in contexts where there have been rigorous assessments to make sure these kids are ready and need, and et cetera, et cetera. And there are going to be people who regret. And that is not a thing that we should shy away from. But shockingly, the rate of regret for knee replacement surgeries, for new hips, and a million other things is actually higher. And in all honesty, like, we need a system that allows everyone to show up and get the customized care that they need. And so that means that we need the kid who might not be ready to have access to the counselor. And the problem, and the elephant in the room here, is that these clinics that do the care that these trans kids need to survive are chronically underfunded and have no money to give the support that everybody needs. And also, just like we know with every issue, there are times when we have to make our best judgment in the moment, and we can never imagine everything's going to be perfect. There are kids who've been given antidepressants who do not need, or are not made better by, those antidepressants in this country. That does not mean that we demonize physicians who are prescribing that medication, because those kids need that medication to survive, and we need the research and support to make sure that when there are statistical harms, we can understand and address those, and that's none of the shit these conservative bigots and sometimes neo-Nazis, fascists, and transphobes are talking about. Thank you.
Amen to that. So yeah, and well, ramen to that. So I'll just say it that way. Hey, our guy Chris made a good comment here, Greg. He's right.
In Canada right now, they're having like a whole attack on trans inclusion in schools. And my favorite thing is, like, every single expert in every single sector is being like, this is a bad thing to do. Please don't do this. And these couple politicians who shockingly have scandals going on in unrelated issues, who shockingly are facing revolts within their own parties, who are seeing, like, schools falling apart under their watch. They're like, oh God, there's a crisis related to the trans kids in schools. And I'm like, you just want voters to be distracted and angry and divided so you can get reelected, gain more power, and keep letting our schools sink into the ground as they have no repairs done to any of them.
It's always projection, right? Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No worries, no worries. I'm just gonna set Faye up for another one. So I set her up for that last one, and I'm gonna set her up for this one. Because again, this is another issue that is involving the trans community that I want Faye to speak to, and to maybe try to bridge some gaps here. Let's talk about trans folks in sports. We could not have this conversation without me asking. because I get it and I understand fact. And I'm pretty sure I understand probably 60% about what you're going to say. I pretty much am there, but I do need to give you the stage so that you could talk about this. Now, before I give you the stage, I want to set up one thing that I don't know if you're going to say or not, but I'm going to make sure it's set before we even get there. I'm going to make sure, Doug. You know what happens when I say that shit. I'm not going to speak for Canada. I'll speak for America. Men don't like to lose or to compete with women. And it's toxic masculinity, it's fragility, it's horseshit. Men don't want to lose to a woman in anything. So to me, this is the underlying issue in all this, really, at the end of the day, is that men, the reason that men don't want to compete, because men are generally like, oh, no, we don't want to play with girls. And it's because they don't want to lose to girls. And how do I know this fact? I know because I grew up as a cis male. But one of the things that, especially in sports, that people always love to throw at me was that I hit like a girl, I catch like a girl. So being a girl when you're a man, or being compared to a girl when you're a man, is supposedly a fucking insult. Okay? And I don't know. I really never understood. Chris, you're crazy. I'm not sure we
can post that comment.
We will. But that aside, jokes aside, men don't want to lose to women, and that's, to me, an underlying thing. They wrap it in this, it's unfair and all that. But man, I'm telling you, I think Serena Williams would have whooped more than half of all these men. Not even in her prime, when she was done. Hell, she was out there winning Grand Slams when she was pregnant, Doug. But that aside, Faye, I just want you to speak in a better and more articulate manner than I just ranted about this issue. Because again, I'm in Wisconsin. It literally came up in our legislature yesterday that they passed a bill that, trans women can't play with men, trans men can't play with women, and they can't barely be in the same locker rooms, and all the that's what I'm sorry, but that's what I see and feel when this shit's going on. Like all this like fake outrage and all worked up about. No, y'all never see Simone Biles? Simone Biles will whip women's asses. She'll whip men's asses. She'll whip women and men's asses. She's just a badass. That's what happens. And so many women are so badass that men can't take it or handle it. And it's mostly toxic masculinity. And I'm done my rant. I guess there was a question in there somewhere, Faye. I think you got it. I'll shut up now because I'm off my little rocker.
No, but okay. Set aside my the laughing instinct and I'm okay. Putting on my serious issue.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Serious. Don't be too serious. It's been good.
Yeah, I'm trying to be serious here. I'm sorry. My bad.
Well,
I'll literally mute my mic so you can talk.
See the amount of effort it takes. Okay, so let's start. First, there are actually some conversations that the public and myself included are not the best position to have. What I mean by that is we don't debate how none of us are mechanics. We're not engineers, or few of us are those things. I don't imagine myself to be a nuclear physicist. I don't imagine myself to know. I can't sew. I don't have particular expertise in a range of issues, and one of those issues is definitely biology. And we as a human species rely on these really simple narratives we tell ourselves. There are men who are stronger and there are women who are weaker. And the funniest thing is, can you tell the misogyny in that narrative? So foundational, when I say that, you can see patriarchy in the damn room. Mm-hmm. And then as well, we imagine that is inherent and there's no variety to it. It is a way of making the world simpler. I know some men who are really, really tall. I know some other men who are really, really, really short. I know some gals who could beat me up. I know some dudes who are like 70, 80, 90. I mean, like, I don't know. There are yeah. So biology is a whole range and a spectrum. And
Spectrum is the word.
Like, I would love to ask, like, what is the role of class in like athletic performance? What is the role of like ancestry? Like, there are 100 different questions you could ask. Some people are just born taller, and voila. And so we have used the idea of gender to like categorize and constrain when it doesn't always make sense to. And also when like there's a huge amount of variety, even when you look at these like concepts of two boxes. Not all like assigned female at birth people have the same amount of breast tissue, have the same width of hips, have the same amount of facial hair or lack thereof. There's massive variety. And that's one piece. So this is all like overblown, and there's some things that we should allow, like the Olympics and sports regulators and others who have expertise outside of when they're being mobbed by bigots hounding them to do a particular thing, who are able to create policies and guidelines that make sense. The other thing to recognize is there's a whole difference between like competitive sport, which is like Olympics and all of those things, in which like there are exceedingly few trans people at all. We are few and far between in that space because like, yeah, like there's not a lot of us, and we're not like stealing things. Like, there's not many trans people in general. There's not many trans people in sport. Like, that's just chill. The biggest just like to like take anything that happens that's good for trans people and be like, oh my God, the world is ending. And then like, let's think about recreational sport. And that is like the thing that people do to like have healthy lifestyles, to have like, you know, social opportunities and friends and connections. And I'm like, again, I played hockey for 12 years. It was incredible. I loved it. It was an incredible outlet and an incredible thing to do. And it was like a way of making friends. And I was a military brat in places that were new every year. And my team were always people that I knew or could like, that I spent enough time in, and it was different enough. Like this was a social opportunity. It was great. And we're actually talking about, like, I didn't come out as trans until I was in my early 20s. If I'd come out in high school and I lived in certain American states, I wouldn't be able to, I would not have been safe on my boys' hockey team for all that I loved it. And also, I wouldn't have been allowed anywhere else. And so, like, we lose the fact that, like, we're actually talking about people being forced out of sport. We're talking about people, like, and sport is important to us. Like, especially in, like, I'm thinking Canadian culture and hockey. We love the damn thing. And you're talking about banning people from being able to participate in a thing that is both, like, healthy recreationally, but also, like, it's culture. It's how we understand and experience, like, ourselves and each other. Like, God, y'all are American. You play football. You know what I'm alluding to.
What I think is a kind of an interesting part of that debate, if it's a debate, it's a dumb debate, is the idea that you see a lot of people bitch about like trans females competing. You don't hear anybody bitching about trans males competing. And that's Greg's point about like toxic masculinity and all that nonsense. And you spoke about spectrums. That's the thing, is damn near everything in the human experience is a spectrum. Damn near everything. Like, there's very little binaries. There's no binaries in nature. Like, there's homosexuality in like hundreds and hundreds of species. Like just the amount of, and like, all right. So I'm going to traverse a few things here in that, because now I'm on a roll, and I apologize. But the idea of like, you have gender fluidity, you have sexual fluidity. There's a lot of fluidity that you can have. Like, you can like be, hey, I'm, like you said, you went from, hey, I'm gay, but no, I'm actually trans. But that was a progression for you. That's a spectrum for you. It was a spectrum, and you went up the spectrum until you found where you belonged. It's the same thing with sexuality. A lot of people find their sexuality to be different as they age, or they experience different things. Like, where is, I get people are resistant to change, especially if you are in certain dogmas. And I'm going to use the word dogmas to tread lightly there. But what does it harm you? Like the idea that it's like, well, I don't want my daughter competing against trans female. Well, then you're an idiot. Sorry, you're an idiot if you think that that's a problem. Like I have no sympathy for you because you are making an issue out of something that is not an issue. And you're trying to deny someone else the experience of being able to participate in something that is a social construct that a lot of people enjoy. And I've come to, as I learn more and more, and Greg, you spoke earlier about us always learning. I've come to learn that like almost everything in the human experience is a spectrum, almost everything. And like, accept it. Like what's the problem with letting people experience that spectrum as it appears to them? And that's life. We have one go at this. One, like why experience what you can and find it where in that spectrum you lie. And I don't know. I know some people are uncomfortable with change. I'm not trying to dismiss that. I find it shitty when people are trying to deny other people the ability to find where they're happy because that makes them uncomfortable. If it makes you uncomfortable, don't look, don't talk, just go away.
So one of my favorite things, in my world, we describe everything as like an umbrella term. And it's a funny little, trans can look 100 different ways, a million different ways, et cetera, et cetera. And like our communities are not homogenous. We don't experience ourselves as one thing, and we all like relate to ourselves differently. And one of my favorite things though is like that is also the case for straight people. And what I mean by that is like every heterosexual relationship looks different. The term heterosexual is in our like social environment considered to be not just like you are a man who is in a relationship with a woman, but it's also coded into all of these other expectations around masculinity versus femininity, who's doing what kind of chores, who's bringing home the monies, who's taking the kid home from school if they're sick, and all of those different things. And then in like sexual relationships, like straight folks have a whole bunch of different dynamics and ways of doing the darn thing that y'all are less comfortable talking about than my people are, which is a good time. But it is really to just help us understand that like queer and trans people are not these radically different humans that are off in their own corner. All of these, like our society is obsessed with these concepts and normalizing them, and most of us don't fit them. Most straight relationships do not fit the definition that all of us would write down if we asked, what does society expect of men versus women? Mm-hmm. And that is incredible. Queer and trans people just deviate from that in a way that our society teaches us is not to be welcomed or celebrated. And sometimes we're more blunt about it because, you know, like the nail polish or like the like blatant, like we look different than society teaches you you're supposed to look, which I think is wonderful, beautiful, and powerful. And also there's straight guys who love their nail polish also, and they are like the demigods that we worship the ground upon which they walk up. But like, again, like I want everyone to live in a world where we are free of like norms that don't let us be ourselves. And that is what queer and trans people want and need. That's also what straight people want and need.
Mm-hmm. We're just given the opportunity easier than you folks are.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally because the societal norm is that, as opposed to like, hey, let everybody be themselves. Sorry, Greg, I stamped on you there maybe a little bit.
Oh, I have a wonderful, wait. Just if you want a hot breaking news in Canada, it's not actually breaking news.
Breaking-ish.
Another of our provinces is looking to weigh into the anti-trans school inclusion debate. Oh, it's just a good time when another freaking premier decides to stomp on the rights of trans kids to be themselves. And so we are not that different from America. We just like to pretend, and then shit like this happens.
Which province is this?
Alberta.
So what are the other two? There was two others. What were the other two?
So it started in my province of birth, which is a source of great shame to me even today. In New Brunswick, which is on our eastern coast. It started there, which is like kind of was a surprise to us because it's like a small province. Its capital is kind of tiny, et cetera, et cetera. But it started there, and then it jumped to Saskatchewan, which is a prairie province on the west, slightly west.
Is that where Edmonton is?
No, Edmonton is in Alberta. But
Okay.
Alberta is like there's a border with Saskatchewan, and so they're connected to one another. And that province was like a lot blunter and messier, and we have like the premier, like the equivalent of a governor there, introduced a really bad policy that was challenged and brought to court. And then the court said that we were going to like not let you implement this, dear government, yet because we were worried it will cause irreparable harm to children because it was like bigoted and bad. And then the government said, we're going to invoke this clause in the Constitution that lets us override you. And we're just going to suspend the charter protected rights of trans kids because we want to make life and schools harder for them because we're little shitty bully bigots who have nothing better to do with their lives.
Sounds a lot like America.
Yeah, that is like this is my thing is like Canada's like gearing up. We are following your path in some horrible little ways.
We apologize.
So Faye, can you, another thing that people misunderstood, but I get real quick, you answered the question before, but I kind of want you to be specific in this because I think you probably know what I'm talking about. Can you speak to like the issue, especially when it comes to sports, that a trans, see, this is where I need to make sure I'm saying it right, where a trans female has to take a certain amount of hormones and how those hormones are literally detrimental to them playing sports. Can you talk about that?
So it is like I have to play the like not a biologist card here to a
right. But you are familiar though with stories and people and experiences that people have in this area. Am I right? I'm right.
Yeah.
That's
so
what I'm asking.
I think the delicate balance is like, so again, like in recreation, I think we need to be a little bit fuzzy and like let people do their darn thing.
Yep.
And then in competitive sport, I think actually like we need to make sure we stand behind scientific evidence-based policies. And in some circumstances, and I think like the funny thing is we should be doing that on every issue. Like if we're going to single out trans people and our hormone levels, are we also going to single out the person who's had a coach paid to teach them how to swim better since they were 4 years old? And that coach was like a former Olympian who was making big money, and that kid was like on the diet and like that kid was prepped for this, which is often the case for many of these people. And so if we're going to like pick on trans people for like various hormone levels, I would love if we also picked on like the like wealthy kids who have a huge advantage. I would love if we picked on the fact that a lot of kids never even get the opportunity to come near to professional sport because of the cost associated with even showing up at a tournament and all of that darn stuff. And I am not opposed to like some degree of regulation on this issue. And like there needs to be like, but it needs to be reasonable. And frankly, I don't have the literacy around trans people and anybody's biology and how our hormones do their thing and where genetics start and end and how much like the amount that we work out versus the amount that we like. I don't think anybody has the answer, or I don't at least. And so I think we just need science to speak for itself, but we can't do it when the bigots are like, sending death threats to the trans people who are playing the darn sports. And like banning, people from like playing on their local school hockey team because that's kind of a shit show. And I'd rather we figure that out because like people should be allowed to play sport.
Right. And my main thing is the Doug, do you remember the name of the swimmer down here and all that shit that caused all the? Do you remember, Faye? I don't know if you've heard the story. The swimmer and
Thomas.
Is that okay? Yeah. Yes. Thank you. I'm sorry. And all that shit that was stirred up by that, and that was really a lightning rod for the haters down here, to really jump on that, and it just really annoys me when, and we've seen this with our MAGA crew down here too. They just distort information or they just flat out lie, or they just literally make up shit to just make their points. Like you're not even talking facts. You're just making up shit for your narrative. And I'm just so fucking tired of it. Okay. So one last oh, I'm sorry, you go.
No, but it would be like the funny, like the annoying thing underneath this is like it's not a bad thing for trans people to be successful in sport.
No.
Like, it's like it is absolutely kick ass that Leah is able to like do some good things. I don't even know where she's landed on anything. Like I don't pay attention to the score. I don't know. All I see is like how she's being dragged for filth by bigots who are talking about her body, her genitals, and everything else. But like, why is it like we have one single trans person who is doing some cool things in sport? We have 99 billion cisgender people who are doing some cool things in sport. And like 5 of them are women who have also been historically excluded from sport. And I'm just like, are we not allowed to have people that we can look up to? Like, are trans people not allowed to look and say, there's this kick-ass trans gal who swims? And is she not allowed to kick other people's asses? Like, is she not allowed to be a kick-ass athlete? Like, I was a kick-ass. No, I wasn't a kick-ass athlete, but I like you. You love to like. We deserve people that you can be like. Damn, like Mike Phelps is that. The really famous swimmer dude. There's a bunch of people who are like, he inspires me. Trans people deserve people that inspire us also in freaking sport too. And we get one. And all the bigots won't leave her the alone.
Yep.
I should have asked at the start. Am I allowed to swear on this pod?
I think you've heard us say fucking shit and stuff, so I think you're okay. Yeah, we are not a well, I want to say kids hear parents swear all the time.
Warned me by now if I wasn't supposed to be, so
yeah, we would have told you. We kind of just assume people swear like us, so.
Well, that's amazing.
So, Faye, I feel we're coming down to the end of our time with you. And it's been great, but Doug and I do definitely want to make sure that you have time to talk about Wisdom2Action, what y'all do. Maybe you want to start about how you got involved, and I don't care that we're America or not. We do have a co-host who is from Canada, so we might have a Canadian viewer here and there. So can you tell us about your organization, what y'all do, and everything about it, please?
Hell yeah. So my organization is Wisdom2Action. We are about 12 years old now, and I am one of the 3 co-owners. My other co-owners are Lisa Lachance, is a provincial parliamentarian. It's like a state legislator, a state.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, in Nova Scotia, and the first genderqueer one in that province of history. My other co-owner is Dennis Dubing, who has a kick-ass background in children's rights and international development. And basically what we do on the business side is we help nonprofits do what they do better. We do strategic planning, we do community engagement work, we help people monitor and evaluate their services and interventions. And then we do a bunch on queer and trans inclusion as well. So helping organizations be more supportive and inclusive of our communities. And all of it is undertaken with a social enterprise commitment. So we use some of our profits and some of like our time and my time to help advocate for queer and trans communities, to address rising hate, and to help build like united movements to address the nightmare culture war the American Republicans and Canadian conservatives are trying to bring to Canada. And so it's like progressive, lefty, connected to community, and trying to help make the world a better place. And help good folks do what they do better.
That was great. So this is something that is it a sort of nonprofit? I think I saw something on your site where it's like you can donate and do things like that. So what does if you have donations, what does that go towards? Does that go towards all the things that you spoke to? Is there other parts that it could help? What does that?
So on one side, we have the business, and that is like Wisdom2Action. We are like we're for profit, but we are like a social enterprise. So that means that we use some of our profits to help do like good things. And we also have like a sliding scale for how we charge clients so that we can like work with the tiny little nonprofits versus like the big the big corporate-y-ish nonprofits. And then on the other side, we have a nonprofit. And the nonprofit is the Society of Queer Momentum. You can check it out at www.momentumcanada.net. And it is a new, so like 6 months old now, a queer and trans advocacy organization trying to get our governments in Canada to wake up to rising hate and to address the far-right extremism focused on our communities. And so, like, I have been in this movement for 10 years. My co-owner, Lisa, in Nova Scotia, was in the marriage equality fight over a decade or two ago. We are seeing the moment we're in Canada where it's getting messy again, and we are bringing traditional campaigns, people power, and brilliant, beautiful, colorful queer and trans advocacy back to this argument so that we can make that better world possible for queer and trans people. And if you donate to us, it helps us hold bigot politicians and those who parrot anti-queer and trans shit accountable for the harm that they're causing. And you'll help us build a movement of people dreaming of that better tomorrow, not just for the gays, not just for queer and trans people, but for everybody in this country who deserves a better tomorrow.
Yes.
I love all that. I love all that.
Yes. Yes. All right, Faye. Well, it's been fun. Doug and I are about to get messy, so if you would like to stick around for that, you can. But if not, we understand that you are busy, and we appreciate your time that you've given us. So it's really up to you at this point how long you stay with us. But I think we hit all the points, and yeah. Okay, cool. I saw the note there, so let's get a little we won't get too messy. I mean, we know that you're an esteemed person, and Doug and I are not. So I don't even know if I use that word right, but I know how to do this stuff. That music like puts me in the mood, Doug. I don't know. I don't know what the mood is. It's just a mood.
So, whatever the mood is.
Yeah. It puts me in a mood. Don't do that. So Doug, so we'll go first so we can show Faye how we do this. And then not that we're usually a ladies first type thing here, but we just want to show you how we work.
Yeah, I need to know the vibe first.
Yeah, right. We'll set up the vibe for you. So Doug is going to show something messy, and I think I'm gonna get messier than you, Doug.
I don't know. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna show you something messy, and it's fucking messy.
Well, let's test this.
This goddamn show. See, it is the most fucked up train wreck of a show. Listen, there's a lot of train wreck reality shows, a lot of them. I don't know why this one just hits me in a way where, like, and I feel bad because it makes me sound like a bad person, and I'm kind of looking at this like, oh, these people, what the fuck are they doing? Like, listen, I fuck up a lot every day of my life, but holy shit, like, I'm going to tell you some things that the thing about this season is 2 people made it to the altar part, and that is completely unusual for the show. It's almost always 4. But the part is there's a lot of background information now that we know that one of the couples got to Mexico, which is after they do the pods, they go to Mexico, and that's where they kind of get together and actually hang out in this like fantasy area. And the one couple didn't make it a day or 2 because it was so incredibly toxic that they couldn't fucking even show it. And then they left, and the guy threatened to unalive himself if they showed any of the footage, so they had to cut all of it out. And then there was another couple that was even worse because one of the women was SA'd, and they had footage, and the Love is Blind people apparently, this is allegedly because there's a lawsuit pending, told her that it wasn't that bad. So I'm thinking maybe we should kind of end this show because holy shit.
Wow.
Chris, I fucking love it too. That says a lot of bad things about me, but I don't care. I fucking
We all deserve that show. We all deserve that show.
Hey, have you ever seen it?
No, but I have watched. I mean, like I'm trying to think of like a problematic fave or something that you watch and then you cringe while watching.
Oh, it very much is. It's very,
and we deserve them. I watch historical fiction. That is the British Empire being the British Empire. I have a lot to feel guilty for. We've all got those moments.
Wow. So, Doug, I knew we were gonna get messy because I knew you said you were gonna start. So I started a new show today, Doug, and it just came out. And I think this might be as messy as Love Is Blind, which is this.
What the fuck is this? Is this a wrestling thing?
This looks like an
Omarosa's in it.
Game. Like it looks like an iPhone app.
Wait. Who's the guy below the snake? Doug?
Oh, that's Shake from Love Is Blind. Oh my God, that's fucking awesome.
So they got like all these villains from all these different reality shows and threw them in a house. And comedian Joel McHale, someone I like. I went and saw him. I really like Joel McHale. He's funny. So, yeah, he is. And he's the host of this mess. And they just got all these ratchet people in a house. The first show was yesterday, Doug, and I finished it this afternoon. And you know how I am with like weekly shows. So
yeah, Greg needs to have all the episodes so you can watch all at once.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm actually ever going to see this again because you know me, I'm going to wait for like a month until I can see like more. But the first episode was not great, but I'm only in it because look at all these assholes. Like Johnny Bananas, he's an asshole.
Oh, Johnny I thought that was Sammy Hagar. I thought that was Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, it's a whole ass mess. It's on E, and I don't know if I'm going to continue to watch it. But I was like, I wanted to one up you, but you really got me with the Love Is Blind because now we got.
I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't for the shit in the background, it was
New York and Tanisha. That show's a whole ass mess, and it should be funny. We'll see, but yeah. So Faye, like Doug and I, like Doug watches a lot of different shit, and I do too. And Doug goes from like the serious, like the thrillers and the horror, and then
Black Mirror stuff. Yeah,
and he does sci-fi. Doug's all over the place when it comes. Doug is like where I'm at in music. That's what Doug is with TV. Like
that's a good analogy. That's a perfect analogy. Actually,
this is a smorgasbord. There's only like one or two genres that Doug doesn't fuck with, like mob shows and shit like that. Doug don't fuck with, but like outside of that, he watches everything. And I'm like that in music. I listen to everything in music outside of like dumb country music, the twang twang and like, something. So it's really funny when Doug and I actually align with like ratchet, crazy, meaningless reality shows. So Faye, I know you were interested in participating in this. So what is our Canadian friend watching? And yeah, anything? Is it an American show? Is it? You got a couple Canadian shows, American shows. What do you got? We're interested. I know Doug.
Is it gonna be Kids in the Hall?
Yeah, Doug's always looking for like recommendations.
Okay, so I will plead that these are probably all going to be American shows, and I will also plead that I am a fan of like I have two categories. I have my very gay television on one side, and then I have my like wholesome, cute, I'm stressed and I want to watch something as I fall asleep. And then I have my like fantasy sci-fi side. And so on the I want to fall asleep, chill vibes, Gilmore Girls is a classic. And anyone who comes for Gilmore Girls, I will like take a bite out of. You do not mess with her. I know every single season and I've watched it like 100,000 damn times. So that's number one. On the other hand, what I'm watching right now is Queer as Folk. Once again, the classic gay queer guys living their best lives.
Good times. I've seen a lot of that one. Yeah, that's good.
And like what I like is like Canadian like cinema generally in 2023 has a lot of like token little homos or gays or queers or transes in their thing. And I'm like, that's not the world that a lot of queer and trans people live in. We live in worlds of our people living our best lives in our little subcultures because we keep each other safe and we love one another. And I love cinema that shows that, not like the straight person's vibe of like, oh my God, I have a gay friend. And Queer as Folk does that in a good way. And if you haven't seen it, and this is where the historical fiction blends with the gay, you need to go watch Pose. Which is set in the 1970s. I think it's New York, and it's Black, racialized, trans women and gay guys, queer guys, like who are sex working, poor, like kicked out of their homes, living, but they're also queens and they're darlings and they are stunning, and all of that at the same time. And so like that is the shit everyone needs to watch because like queer and trans folks are part of our history, and they like showed us how to have a good time.
Oh, we have a question for you.
The real question is, why did she not get with our good friend Jess? Because there are just like, if you haven't seen it, like I'm like I have a weakness. I will plead into the like, if he's the bad boy, hello, thank you, and the leather jacket just puts it over the top.
Yeah, I had no idea what that comment meant. So, because I've never watched Gilmore Girls,
Right.
I watched it. My mom watched it growing up, and I pretended not to because I thought it would make people think I was gay. And now it is like the show that I will never. It is nostalgia through and through. It is a good wholesome time.
Yeah, but Chris, as Greg showed, he loved Gilmore Girls, so he wanted to be Luke. So.
That's I want to make me breakfast. So hi, Chris.
Yeah, and what I know about Chris is he's very straight. So like, we're straight.
Yeah, Chris,
Luke makes good eggs. If you can make good eggs, you like solve half of my problem.
Half of your problem is just bad eggs.
Yes, half my problem is not waking up to delicious eggs every morning.
Oh, okay, fair.
Well, I just wanted to dismiss the rumor that if only gay people watch gay shows. You know what I mean? Like you can be very straight.
I thought you were gonna say only
enjoy a gay show. Like,
and I was like, no, we can make great eggs.
I have a point to that. One of my very favorite shows that I've ever watched is a show called Sense8, which is incredibly gay, and there's some of the hottest sex scenes I've ever seen in that, and they involve queer and gay sex, and it's hot. It's made by one of the
in a sex shop is my claim to fame. And
one of these dog.
Oh my God, yes.
So when I give workshops in Ottawa, my favorite joke to make is if you recognize me, yes, it might be because I sold you your first vibrator or your favorite vibrator. But
yes,
sexuality is like there is good content out there, and the gays author a lot of it.
Absolutely, and I will tell you, just like. And also the one of the main characters in Sense8 was Jamie Clayton, who I think is fucking incredible, and that is a trans woman. But like her character in that show was unbelievably good, and I just would like to see characters that aren't there just merely because they're trans, but because they're good actors or actresses. She's great. She's great in anything that I have seen her in, and I would like to see her in more stuff. So.
I feel that in a big way.
Awesome. So, Faye, I want to ask you a dumb question. Can I do that, or do you have time? Or
oh yes.
Actually, it's not really necessarily a dumb question, but it could be. You have Southern desserts. So, Faye, do you have a preference here? One's gotta go. If you're going to eliminate one, what would you eliminate? Where you at with all this? You might get food. I'm going to warn you. You might get food shamed here.
I have a question first.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What do you do if you've never had any of these options?
Pick what you think. No, that's okay. Canada. Remember, Canada. These are southern U.S. things.
I don't care. I don't
I
care.
would go with the peach cobbler. I've had cobblers before. That sounds like a good time. I would enjoy a good peach cobbler. I don't know what pound cake is, but like that's actually right in the right. I mean, no, I know what, but I've never had. I know what, but I've never had.
That's okay. I understand.
Sweet potato
Like,
pie?
And like those. Like,
No, Doug, no, it's not okay. Again, this is the food shaming part of our conversation. Okay? So it's not fucking okay. Okay? You got it? So anyway, Faye, no sweet potato pie?
I would eat all of these. Like, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Like, I would enjoy every one of them as a unique delicacy,
Wow.
as one should enjoy everything that they're.
So Faye, would you have the same visceral response if I said I never had poutine?
Yes. I have to go. Like, I can't stay on phone calls or Zoom or anything with people who haven't had poutine before. There's a thing about the gravy, the cheese, and the fries, and it's like,
Faye,
yeah.
We had somebody on here that said that they didn't like gravy,
and we mocked the shit out of them. Look at that! Look at face. Mm-hmm.
Right. So let me answer this. This is really, really simple. The peach cobbler has got to go. Sorry, dog. I can't do it. I like peaches, but not in that like intense manner. Banana pudding. All right, but if one had to go as peach, what do you got, Doug, real quick?
First of all, the fact that you slander banana pudding makes me question our friendship because that shit is fucking delicious. That's my second favorite dessert
Where
ever.
was the slander? I just said
you're like, no, that shit's awesome. You can't slander fucking banana pudding, dude. The only thing that's better than that is key lime pie. But I will say sweet potato pie's got to fucking take a hike there for me.
See,
and I'm a pie. I love.
That's what happens when you slander sweet potato pie, Faye. You get removed from the fucking stage. Sweet potato.
And you know what happens when you slander?
Now there's nobody on. Now there's nobody on there.
Did the Southern Desserts ignite a power struggle? And if so, who wins?
I will always win because I don't know.
For sure.
I don't know.
Greg's the one who came up with the show, so he always wins.
But sweet potato pie is amazing. I knew, Faye, when I picked that graphic, I knew that Doug was going to slander sweet potato pie, and I did not slander banana pudding. I just said
you said it was meh, and that is.
And it is. That's not slander. It's meh. That shit looks good though, dog. I mean, listen, just like beer. It doesn't mean I wouldn't try it. So anyway, Faye, we will let you go. Finally, we got a little messy. We were very, very serious. We hit on some trans issues. I think not everyone, but we hit on the majority of the ones, especially the ones that bug the fuck out of me as a cis male. Some of this now we're back to saying the word slander. Literal slander and literal bullshit. And I'm just glad that we could have a trans activist here to speak to these issues and talk to it in an intelligent manner, in an educated manner, like you, who literally lives it. We wish you safe. We wish you safe travels, safe living. It's sad that I actually have to say that, but I believe it's necessary, especially in our country where trans folks are really, really, literally behind the fucking target. And it's sad and it's infuriating and it's disgusting and vile. And I'm just glad to have a trans person on willing to speak to everybody about it and to hopefully clear up some things. Now, respectfully, our audience is educated, smart, and generally non-bigoted from what I know. Because if they show anything, they'll get fucking banned here so fast their head will spin. So Doug and I do not have any tolerance for any of that bullshit. But we just want to thank you for being a strong voice. It doesn't necessarily have to be in our country, but a strong voice for the world community. And I will shut up and let Doug have some last words before we give you the last words and you leave us.
Greg said most of it. Just thanks again for joining us. And I think we would love to have you back at some point just to kind of talk more and just get the lay of the land, because, hey, we as cis males, like we know some things, we don't know all the things, and education and knowledge is always good. So.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let y'all go, but I'm gonna give you a little surprise first.
Okay.
All
right.
All right.
Surprises are good.
I love the idea that the surprise would be I just like walk off screen and I'm just like, thanks, bye. No, please say hello to my boys.
Whoa! The ferrets.
One of them has acquired. They've acquired a blanket between their paws, but this is Latte. This is Mocha.
Do they get along?
Oh yes, they're besties. They're brothers.
And you're a coffee person.
Oh yes, we are, and they are happy boys.
Yes, and that is the first ferrets that we've ever had on the stream.
I bring a new thing to every experience, and often it is my pets.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
No, that was great. We've had cats and dogs, and I think some other things. Never ferrets. That was awesome. Thank you.
I'm happy to oblige. And thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I've had a blast, and I have not done a thing where I'm invited to drink on camera. So thank you for breaking new horizons in all the best ways.
Excellent.
Well, yes, we will invite you again to have drinks with us on camera sometime. So yeah,
keep up the good work. Keep up the good work,
and y'all as well.
Yeah, awesome. All right.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Awesome, Doug. Great guest.
That was fun.
Yes, it was, Doug. And I'm not sure what else we have here. Do you have any? I
have a beer.
Okay.
Look at this beer.
Yes.
Look at this beer. This is the one
Dino S'mores.
I found it again around edition. So this is something that I don't get around here. And one local place had it, and I went out and grabbed one. So what's funny is, like, I never realized how much ingredients are in this. Imperial stout brewed with graham flour, marshmallows, molasses, vanilla beans, cocoa nibs, and coffee.
Let's go.
Dude, listen, this is one that you won't make fun of me for having all the ingredients and merely because it's fucking dinosaurs.
Don't listen to me. Enjoy what you enjoy.
Yeah, but like,
I'm just being an ass.
Look at that shit. Man. It smells so good. It's got all you get the graham flour and you got the molasses and the coffee all on the nose.
Yes.
God damn, that's good.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yum. So, man, listen, it's been a few weeks. So, where are you at with your Cleveland Browns? Because we have not talked about this, and I am curious because I have some thoughts on them, but I'm not a fan of them. What are your thoughts on them as far as where they are so far in the season? Because
I wasn't expecting this one.
Good.
I don't know. It's the Browns. They're not going anywhere. They never go anywhere, and that's kind of the whole thing with them. That's it.
But their defense is fucking ridiculous.
Their defense is amazing, but unfortunately, the offense is going to spoil that. And
so you're not in the Deshaun Watson camp. Then you don't think he's going to redeem himself?
I'm not sure. His last game was his best game as a Cleveland Brown, which was 2 weeks ago.
It was great. Awesome. He did really great. Yeah,
he played awesome. And then since then he's been hurt, and then all these conspiracy theories have come out. Really, actually, to really get to your question, where I'm at with the Browns is I'm really sick and tired of the fans. I'm up to here with them. I'm fucking tired of them. One of the reasons why I became a Browns fan is because I hated Eagle fans. Okay. But you know what, Doug? And irony, 50 years later, the Browns fans are turning out to be what I thought Eagle fans were, which is obnoxious, annoying, and fucking like they need a hobby or something. Because now this is big conspiracy that Deshaun Watson is hurt and he's lying and the coaches are lying. Whatever happened to like old school football where like people were hurt so they couldn't play. It's really, really simple. It's not it's not like it doesn't have to be anything more than that. So I'm kind of annoyed at the fans more than anybody else. Now, injuries are hurting the season. Nick Chubb, my boy,
Yeah,
out for
man,
the
that was a bummer.
year. He's amazing. And we don't have a shot at winning if we don't have Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't happen. So we play San Francisco. We're probably going to get wiped up by them. But it's unfortunate because we're going to ruin that defense that is probably like this defense is going to be like, it's going to be like, it could be an all-time really great defense if we had an offense that complemented it. But unfortunately, we don't. Now, can Deshaun Watson come back and play? I think he can. He showed the last game that he played that he was pretty fucking good. But I think Deshaun Watson, and it's his fault, not anybody else's. The whole massage thing is always going to make people look at him in a negative way. So it's always going to it's going to be the frame of the conversation. So when anything's going on with him, people are going to look at him negatively and point at him and say he's doing shit because he was all involved in all of that shit, and he deserves all the shit he gets for that. He does. I am not here to defend Deshaun Watson on any of that. He's a big man, he can do that. But I'm going to defend him in the fact, or not defend him, but to say, look, the man is hurt, and I hate these conspiracy. Like, you have too much time on your hands, Cleveland Browns fan. Go touch some grass. Go do something.
Go do some frolicking.
Yeah, do something. Don't you have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You got a lake there.
I think that might be it.
Like, stop it. Do something. So that's where I'm at with him. As far as this year goes, it's going to be rough, but it's always rough. So that's where we're at. It's always rough.
You're saying it's par for the course then.
Yeah, I don't have any expectations for them ever, Doug. So it's all good.
But I really do think their defense is something special. So they could just actually have Deshaun Watson not fucking do crazy shit and just kind of just let the defense run the things and just do enough to outscore the other team, not go crazy. I think they're great. In that respect, I think they actually are probably the best team in their division.
Yes,
because Cincinnati's a mess.
Horrible.
So and Pittsburgh is like, what the fuck are you like? How the fuck is the Steelers 3-2? They can't score any touchdowns. I'm so baffled, and I'm so mad because I fucking hate the Steelers. But and I know you do too. But and
then let's talk about your team real quick.
All right, so they started out just looking like shit, and I was like, God damn it, another disappointing Jacksonville team. And then they go to London for 2 weeks in a row and just kick both the teams' asses. And that's the thing, is they have the tools to really be good, but they're playing in Jacksonville. I kind of wish, and this is going to sound weird, I really wish they would just up and move the franchise to London and just be like, here's our advantage. Come to us, motherfuckers. And just because they go to London, they beat everybody in London, and they don't beat anybody in the United States, and it's fucking maddening. But
I prefer them to move to London than to try to bill the people of Jacksonville for $1 billion. Your owner can take that idea and shove it up his ass.
Yep,
he's vastly, vastly, vastly rich. He can pay for that shit himself, and he should. That's it. If not, go to London, bruh, and yeah. This is a rabbit hole I'm not sure we want to go down. The NFL and this
it's like a marriage of two complete giant obsessions. And what's funny is so one of my kids just left to go to see the Taylor Swift movie at 11 p.m. with 3 of their friends, and the movie is 3 hours long, so they're not getting back till 2 in the morning. They're 18, so that's fine, whatever. Right. But you're doing your thing. Listen, I like some of Taylor Swift stuff.
Me too.
I think she's crazy hard worker. Like, you can't deny the amount of hard work she puts into her stuff.
Right.
But like, is she dating Travis Kelce? I can give a shit. Like, hey, I hope you find happiness. I really do. Where it is. And if it's with Travis Kelce, great. Kelce seems like a good dude. Like, right. So yeah, hey, whatever. And he's the best tight end in fucking football. So whatever.
I think the problem is the way the NFL is playing it. How about that? So we can blame the NFL on that, in my opinion. The relentless showing of her during all this. It's just too much. And yeah, yep, sure. She makes music, yeah. And
Yep.
not as good as Beyonce though. Just saying. That's just me. But it's fine. If you argue otherwise, that's cool. And Swifties, don't do that. Chill, Swifties. Chill. I there are definitely some songs that I like from Taylor Swift. There's some songs I don't.
Yep.
I like Taylor's pop stuff when she gets into the country. It's not
The
kind of
country's
my thing. Um, yeah, she goes. Also, her social justice work is really, really good.
yeah.
Remember, Doug, we talked about her and her dad and how she's like,
Yeah.
look, I need to say some things, and her dad's like, well, we're worried, and we have to. Look, he respectfully did the old white guy thing, like, let's not fuck with these people. And it's like, dude, first of all, number one, he doesn't understand the power of his daughter's fans.
Yep.
Swifties will kick all of your asses. Okay, Swifties will kick all of your asses. Okay.
Yep.
So all Taylor has to do is say, remember that whole Ticketmaster thing and how she unleashed all her fans? She didn't even mean to. It's not like she's being negative, but her fans go for her. So if we would get the Swifties against the MAGA people, we would probably kill the whole MAGA people.
But we are getting that a bit, because what happened was when she started dating Kelsey was like all these fucking MAGA nonsense were like, hey, we shouldn't have Taylor Swift in the fucking football, blah, 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 blah. And like, don't anger the Swifties. Those people come out in fucking force, and they do not fuck around. They will just fucking blast you until you submit. Like, they are fierce fucking fans. The same thing. They're like on the same level the K-pop fans. Like, those people don't fuck around either. They come around and they're like, so you don't fuck around with them. So,
Right.
hey, you know what?
Find out.
Yeah, fuck around and find out is exactly right. So
right. So I'm not even trying to get into the Travis Kelce, Mr. Pfizer, Aaron Rodgers thing.
yeah, I don't know what that is, and I'm not going to get into it. So fuck it. I have too many other things my brain is occupied.
Aaron Rodgers is an anti-vaxxer, and he wants to debate. He wants to debate Travis Kelce, who does the Pfizer commercials, and then he's just a fucking idiot. We're not gonna address Aaron.
All right, so here's a question: when Aaron Rodgers is finally retired, what's his next thing? Is he going to be Joe Rogan 2.0? Because that's what I see.
Well, remember, he wanted to be the host of Jeopardy, so he's going to be in the media.
He's not smart enough to be the host of Jeopardy, but
right, and he's not. But he does that dumb Pat McAfee show too, and he gets paid over $1 million a year to do that shit. So he's going to be in media. Is my short answer. Because he thinks he's smart and he loves to hear himself talk.
All right, this is. You should write a manifesto. Yes, that's about what I'm expecting.
Anyway, in order to get off of this subject, I only had two, because when we have a quote serious guest or someone who I have a lot of questions for, I usually take it as time. We only have two, so I had two today. Two Milwaukee breweries, Third Space and Venture. Both are good at really what they do. Venture is definitely more smaller and more, what's the word I want to use, specialized, whereas Third Space really tries to hit a bigger audience, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. They sell a lot more beer than Venture. Venture's definitely more of a neighborhood brewery, and they both really excel at both doing it. I had a sour and I had a Nippa New England IPA. Both are really great. Shout out to Milwaukee breweries. Y'all still killing it. Y'all still my favorite. With all due respect to Madison, love y'all, but Milwaukee's got it going on. What's going on with you, Doug?
All right, so I had three. All right, so none was bad. This was just super interesting. It was the ice cream sandwiches in space from Abomination. What's funny is Abomination, who does Scary Labels, which did a skull here, but like It was in space. And I got this initially because I was like, Greg, cool. And then when I saw the ingredients, I'm like, well, no, me. Just because there's a million ingredients in it. It was definitely unique. Double IPA with fucking freeze-dried ice cream, cacao nibs, vanilla, strawberry, and lactose. So it was all over the place, but definitely interesting. My second was the second favorite was the Oktoberfest from Thin Man. This was very good, Marzen. Really, really good quality
That
Marzen beer.
many of them there this year. Wow.
Yeah.
Over it. I only had one or two. Going though.
I saw more Marzens than regular fest beers. So
I got Ventures.
Yeah, but obviously the best things is the coffee dinos because this thing is fucking delicious. And honestly, look at that goddamn label. Just the way they Off Color makes super interesting labels with the little mouse all the time, and just I don't know, really good beer.
All right, so Doug, I'm really excited about next week. We talked about it before, but we're going to bring it up again.
Yeah.
Whitney returns. We've seen Lauren recently here with the 40 for 40. She's been around, so we'll see Lauren again. And we love Lauren, of course, but really love Whitney too. And Lauren brought Whitney to us. Whitney is a costume designer for major movies, y'all. So she's met some great people. She has wonderful anecdotes. She's going to bring us inside the industry as far as the strikes and where we're going. But she's such a movie lover, obviously. She works in a movie, so that's helpful. But outside of that, I think even if she didn't work in a movie, she would just be still such a movie lover. Just in her heart, and she wears it on her sleeve. And Doug and I can tell you behind the scenes, she's just as lovely as she is in front of the screen, y'all. She's really one of the joys that from the stream. And we've met so many amazing people. Faye being one of them, Ariana. I mean, we can just go down the list of just wonderful people that we have met. And Whitney's just another one. And I can't wait to talk to her about horror movies and all that. So get your horror movies ready. But we also want to talk about horror podcasts,
books,
books, any kind of media. So y'all bring y'all recommendations next week. Of course, because we will show them just like we're going to do this. So if y'all are here live, one of the perks of watching it live is that y'all can comment, and we try to put up most comments unless you're Zach, and then we gotta censor that. Zach was not around tonight, but normally if Zach's around, we have to censor what we put on the screen because sometimes Zach can get a little off the rails.
Yep. So it's going to be great because with Whitney, I have lined up books, podcasts, and movies for underrated of all of them because I'm a nerd and I do all that shit.
I'm really interested in a podcast because that's a genre like where you can't see and where you just have to hear. And like I really want to see what y'all bring to the table because that's something that I probably would like because like I'm just fascinated on how horror translates to listening, if that makes sense. And I guess it's kind of like audiobooks, but like an audiobook has a book behind it. So like that's a different kind of, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So like is only, you know what I mean? Like unless you transcribe it, it literally is only hearing. So like to bring that like spookiness and creepiness or craziness to something that you're listening to, Doug.
Right.
It's fascinating. That's all I got.
I got some really interesting ones for podcasts because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I like serialized fiction. And so like that's going to be super interesting from that perspective. And books, I'm really excited to talk about books because that's not something we talk about a whole bunch. Because I have a lot of opinions on that.
So Daniel's one for next week, and you missed the following from your birthday. Daniel, keep open Black Friday. It's our stout show, and we would like you to make an appearance. Maybe bring some stouts, some New York ones, or I don't know. You get all kinds of ones. So we are formally inviting you, Daniel, to join us for stout. Welcome to stout season is what we're calling it.
Yep.
We have a couple people booked, but we're going to be booking more. It's going to be a big old cast. JHG's going to make an appearance. Matt Clark's coming back. Doug needs to talk to McKeever. Maybe we can get some.
No.
We can get some. We can get some.
Now
men
here's
off
the thing:
phone.
we won't have. Rod's going to be on, and Kevin. I'll try to reach out to him because Kevin and I have a lot of arguments about Matt Elf, but Kevin's also a great one to have on because his states are different than both of ours. So we'll see if we can't get him on. Like there's some other folks I think
he's almost due. We haven't seen him in a while. So
it's been too long
on what's going on. So but that's Black Friday, Daniel, and Daniel, you already know a lot of stouts come out that day. So if you want to grab something, bring it. I'm going to be grabbing things from my cellar. So you want to bring some cellar beer. So we're just going to have a big old stout celebration. It might go into the wee hours. You never know. That's when
you never know.
Kind of gets crazy. But Do
you remember that one? Oh, my fucking stupid face was in it. So yeah.
Okay. Well,
so yeah, it'll be great.
Y'all, we're gonna get out of here. Good times. Good to be back. Next week we got Whitney. Week after we got Ariana. Week after, I'm not sure. I think it's Steve Smith. Returns.
Good. Yeah. So
Steve is a character.
Yeah, definitely. And October turned out to be women's host guest month, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, and it's also no brother.
Yeah, we didn't ask Faye about that. That would have been funny.
I didn't know if it was appropriate or not.
Yeah, but having different people's opinion on it would be fucking great. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't also talk about the fact that it was Friday the 13th in October, and we just.
I didn't want to bring that up.
Yeah. Well, I did. So there.
Great. And now on that note, we're out of here. See y'all next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Sooner than later. Where am I? Don't I have something here? Where is it? Oh, here it is.